Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. We are back. It is me, Eric, with Allie. Leah is going to be joining us here in a little bit. She had some stuff to take care of, and then she'll be with us. But for right now, it's just Allie and I holding down the fort until Leah gets here. We have a very fun show for you all this evening, as we are going to be talking about the Andor release date. A new High Republic audio drama book just dropped, which I have not listened to yet. I am a terrible High Republic fan for not listening to that yet, but
Hey, we both are. It's all good.
I know, right? This week kind of got away from me a little bit.
Exactly, same.
Um, so we have that. We're going to be talking about 5 years of Disney Plus. We're going to be talking about 5 years of Jedi Fallen Order,
Yeah.
because that game came out 5 years ago. We're going to be talking Life Day. It was so good. All right. Hey, Magdalene and Vigilante Vibes in the house. Welcome, everybody. Um, yeah, I plan on checking it out. I'm probably gonna listen to it, like, on my commute to and from work, probably, and maybe a little bit at work. I'm still in the middle of a really beefy novel right now.
Yeah.
Um, I am 300 pages away from the end of Stormlight Archive number 4, so
Mhm, mhm.
mhm. I'm about to hit the Sanderlanche, so we'll see what happens there. So we have that. We have God, I can't believe 5 years of Disney Plus already. That's insane.
Makes what is time? What is
I
time?
know, I
What?
know,
What?
I know. It just felt like just yesterday we were getting ready for the launch of Disney Plus, and now here we are, like 5 years later, and we've had
Mhm.
3 seasons of The Mandalorian. We've had Ahsoka. We've had a season of Andor. We had the Acolyte. We had the Bad Batch. We've had like all this great Star Wars goodness, including the silliness that was the Book of Boba Fett.
Mhm.
Um, and then of course, I mean, I love Book of Boba Fett. I mean, we talked about this time and
Yeah,
time
yeah,
again.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, we've talked about this time and time again, but it's still
Mhm.
really fun. But in just a little bit, we do have to talk about a few things, but in just a little bit, we are going to be talking all things Mandalorian. I've even got our Mandalorian manga here.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to be talking all things Mandalorian here in just a few minutes. But before we get to there, let's talk about there was a D23 event in Brazil that I did not remember was happening. What about you, Allie? Did you remember it was happening?
No, I mean,
Yeah,
I saw people posting about it, so I was like, "Oh, that's happening." But, like, no, I did not remember.
exactly. So we did get some updates on a few projects. We did get a Thunderbolts trailer, which looked like a lot of fun. We got a new Captain America trailer, but most importantly, we got a release date for Andor season 2, and that's going to be April 22nd of 2025, and we will be getting the premiere of Andor. Andor is such a good show. It is just so
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Yeah. We didn't get much in the way. We got a little bit of a sizzle reel when it came to like the coming soon to Disney Plus sizzle reel that they released. Um, but from what I did see, it looks really epic and
Mhm.
really crazy. Typical Star Wars, um, craziness, all that fun stuff. What were your thoughts on just the few snippets that they showed, Allie?
I'm super excited for more content, honestly, just in general. Like, it's difficult because, like, I understand why, like, they're not pumping out as much as they pumped out, like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's at the same time, I'm like, I want more. So it's like it's hard. Like I'm excited to see that we are getting some more things coming up. I don't know. I don't have any other thoughts besides that. I'm just excited.
I am too. I am I'm excited for it too. It's weird because like I'm happy that they've slowed down,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
but I still want them to keep churning it out.
Exactly. See, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I understand and I know it's good, like, in terms of like developing content, like
Yeah.
why they're taking time, but it's hard when like you just want to consume more media, So
Yeah.
yeah.
What are you most excited for based on D23? Now, which D23 are we talking about? Are we talking about the Brazil D23 that just happened, or the D23 that we live streamed the parks thing in Discord uh the one night? Are we talking about that? If we're talking about the Brazil D23, it's pretty much Andor.
Yeah,
Like,
Andor.
yeah, yeah. Hey
Right.
Blake, what's going on? Also, hi John. But yeah, if it's Brazil D23 Andor, if it's the D23 they did back in August, well, um, let's see here. Um, Cars Land,
Cars Land, there you go. Hey, that's something.
at Magic Kingdom,
Yeah. Yeah.
Villains Land at Magic Kingdom. Um, still upset about Dinosaur. Um,
Aren't we all? Aren't we
yeah,
all?
exactly. So it just depends. Like, and I get
Right.
it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
also, 13 cruise ships that they're eventually gonna have or something.
Yeah.
That's crazy too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So D23 Brazil happened. They said. Oh, so let's talk real quick because we did get an announcement of a sequel trilogy as well. Um, apparently, we're getting episodes 10 through 12 now. Um,
Apparently.
apparently, um, I will say this: as much as and Allie, I'm pretty sure you're going to back me up on this.
Uh,
As much as I love what they've put out with Lucasfilm, stop announcing projects without full casts.
yeah. Yeah.
By the guy
Yeah.
who helped make the X-Men movies. Yeah, so this is
Yeah.
Kinberg that's doing this, and he has been hit or miss with X-Men.
Mm.
Is all I'm gonna say about that. Yeah, so we have this announcement here. Allie, what is the over under on this getting shelved?
Oh, are we talking about the um
Episodes 10 through 12 now.
oh yeah. Um
And I'm not
see
trying to sound negative.
no. Like I understand for all the feelings that people are having in regards to this. I think it's like it's not surprising, but it doesn't make it any less upsetting.
Mhm,
Um Mainly because I I feel like a lot of people, here's how I'll put it. I feel like a lot of people felt like I don't wanna start any fandom wars
no,
here,
no,
like,
no,
this is
no,
just
no,
the
no, no, no,
perception
no,
I
no.
have is
You're
that
good. You're good.
based on a lot of people I've spoken to recently, they believe that Rey was in many ways overshadowed in the sequels, especially
Hmm.
towards the end.
I agree.
Um, and so I think a lot of people had high hopes for her story being more centralized and being focused on a lot more in
Hmm.
the Rey film that got shelved. And so I think like I it's hard because like I understand that studios are going to make new decisions and go different directions and
Hmm.
go with like new movies or this or that. The like I
Hmm.
understand how all those things work, but at the same time, I'm very aware and I feel those feelings that people have of frustration in relation to looking forward to potential stories with a specific character and not getting to have that anymore. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like. like they should have done. So they haven't shelved it, but they removed it.
Mm,
They removed the New Jedi Order movie from the release schedule
right.
and put Ice Age 6
Right.
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That damn prehistoric squirrel gets
Literally, he ruins
everything, right? He ruins everything. He ruins everything. Scrat
everything.
ruins everything.
Yeah.
Scrat ruins everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. We will see. I will say this: Simon Kinberg has some really big shoes to fill when it comes to writing Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, but
Yeah.
we'll see. I mean, he was involved in Rebels, I believe, as well.
The name
So
sounds familiar, so you're probably right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's the news right now, movie wise. Television wise, we are less than a month away from Skeleton Crew. We are
Woohoo!
super excited about that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
which I will say this, Becca Benjamin from Tarkin's Top Shelf was threading earlier, and I think she also skeeted on Blue Sky because I think that's what we're calling it now.
Apparently.
Skeeting. Um, about how she loved the Huttese version of Major Tom, and she wants a Huttese version of Europe's The Final Countdown
Yeah.
for Skeleton Crew.
Mhm.
I'm all in for that. Like, get, bring it.
Bring it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Allie, you're not excited for Skeleton Crew, are you?
No, I am. I am. What do you mean? Why would you say that? Why would you say
I'm
that?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. And tonight we're actually kicking off our Road to Skeleton Crew. Our main topic in just a little bit is actually going to be about The Mandalorian. We are going to be talking about season 1 of The Mandalorian and celebrating 5 years of that show here in just a few minutes. But we still have a few other things to talk about before we get in there. So you just got to bear with us, and then we're going to dive into it. This year, this year's a big year for Star Wars because it's the 5th anniversary of a lot of stuff. It was the 5th anniversary of Galaxy's Edge,
Mhm.
5th anniversary of Disney Plus and The Mandalorian, and the 5th anniversary of Jedi Fallen Order. I wanted to call it Survivor because that's but that's the latest one. Um, Jedi Fallen Order. Cal Kestis, our boy. You know him, you love him, and how can you not love his little droid buddy? BD1? How can you not love him? Now, Allie, I know that you're not much of a gamer, but did you see some of the stuff from Fallen Order?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, I haven't had a chance to really look at it yet. Like I've watched playthroughs and
Hmm.
everything of Fallen Order, so like
Hmm.
I know stuff.
Okay.
I know stuff, people.
Okay.
Just 'cause I don't game. So it's just like I'm not like super on top of gaming stuff, but
Okay.
I am definitely still have my eye on it. Eventually, I will be definitely looking into it eventually.
Yeah. No, I mean that's fine. I was just curious, if you had watched, a bunch of playthroughs and stuff. I played through that game 4 times since it's been out, and oh man, it's so good. It's just
Mhm.
it's so good. I will say this. Hey, Clone Force 97, how's it going? I will say this about the game, and this is probably going to get me in a little bit of hot water, but could have done without the Vader thing in Fortress Inquisitorius. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, Leah is here. Hello.
Hello, hello. Sorry for
Hello.
the delay.
Oh, you're
was,
fine.
I was
Leah is home from
caught up
Japan.
playing Gormanda, making
Gormanda.
making some food from one of the Star Wars cookbooks for Life Day tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow is Life Day, so make sure you leave your milk and your blue milk and cookies out for Chewbacca.
Leave out your blue milk and cookies for Chewbacca and your blue milk and questionable videos that you probably shouldn't be watching around your grandson for Itchy.
We're not getting into that.
I just watched the holiday special again earlier today, so
Clone Force
it's
90.
fresh on my mind.
Nice. Clone Force 97 says that was my favorite part. I took forever to finish the game just solely because I was scared to face Vader. Yes.
Real.
We are talking the 5th anniversary of Fallen Order.
Oh, Fallen Order. How many times have I played that now? 7?
I've played it like 4 or 5.
Yeah. Because I played it again right before Survivor came out. Because I was like, I want to remind myself of Cal Kestis' story.
Mm-hmm.
His actual story, not what I invented through fan fiction and fan art. It's such a good game. Like, that was the game that got me. The combination of Fallen Order and The Mandalorian was like the number of people that hooked into like deeper Star Wars fandom.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic.
I will also say this, for a studio that focused primarily on first-person shooters, they knocked it out of the park with both that and Survivor.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievably good game.
I mean, this is the studio that's done Titanfall and Apex Legends, and now they're doing Star Wars and just killing it. All right. An amazing game. We've talked about Andor a little bit, Leah, and we talked about
I was listening in while you were starting the show.
All right. Shall we get to the shenanigans of Life Day and then get to the Mandalorian?
Yeah, let's talk Life Day.
Happy Life Day, everybody. How are we going to be spending our life days tomorrow? Allie, do you want to tell us how you're going to spend your Life Day tomorrow?
I haven't really thought it over yet, if I'm being honest. That's a good point. Honestly, I like Leah's idea of making food. It's a good idea.
Yep.
It's just a very different vibe than last year, because like last year, I like lived right by Batu, so a lot easier to celebrate when you live right by Star Wars land. But I'll still find ways to celebrate at home, I'm sure.
I mean, who doesn't want a good Ronto wrap right now? Like, who doesn't want a good Ronto wrap?
So good.
Yeah.
Sounds so good.
That and blue milk from the milk stand. Yeah. Leah, how are you going to be celebrating Life Day?
I just made entirely too many Alderanian meat pies from Chef Strono Cookie Tuggs's
that's right, Cookie
cookbook. Cookie, who Life Day connection, learned to cook from watching Gourmanda's old cooking show. The more you know. Everything connects back to Life Day.
Everything connects back to Life Day.
Even the holiday special is the key to all of this. But not really Star Wars related, but I'll be having a Arcane watch party.
Nice.
So I'm trying very hard to avoid spoilers for the second part of the season.
Keeping my mouth shut.
And really I am considering, I haven't 100% decided whether I'm doing it or not yet, springing on my friends who I run D&D for on Sundays, springing a Star Wars one-shot on them. With the excuse that it's Life Day, come on. One of the old classic D6 adventures.
Nice.
I just think it would be fun. I haven't decided yet or whether or not. We'll see how excited they are to play their normal characters. I
So
also have that prepared.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So I love that you mentioned Arcane, and then Allie got like really excited about Arcane. I still have not watched any of the show yet.
Oh
I
my god, what
know,
are you doing?
I know, but it's just been really funny just to like see your posts like every morning, like Arcane does come out. You're just like, oh my
Yeah.
god, these episodes! Oh my god!
Right.
I fighting for my life against the spoilers.
That's
I
why I
have
said I'm keeping
every
my mouth shut,
character's
don't worry.
name. I have every character's name muted except for Vi because I have too many friends who are named Vi, so I
Oh,
can't mute that name.
I get it. I get it.
Ah,
Okay, so watch
C'est
Arcane
la vie.
and not a boxing match between a 20 something and a 58-year-old man
Whoa.
like some of us did last night.
But
Um
yeah, today was my watching the holiday special day.
nice,
I,
nice.
I I have to do it. It is required viewing.
I mean, I'll be watching the Lego holiday special.
I mean, that's fair. I'll
Yeah.
probably end up rewatching the Young Jedi Adventures Life Day episodes tomorrow.
Yeah, real quick, if you've never watched Young Jedi Adventures and you're here, watch it. It's amazing
It's
and
fun.
beautiful and
It's
fun.
it's it feels it's like the perfect if you like me watched the Ewoks movies or the
Yes.
Ewoks cartoon or the Droids cartoon, it's for you.
Mhm. It is. It is. It's super fun and silly, but also has great messages and amazing High Republic characters show up in it.
Amazing. And like new characters too. Like all of the original characters in it. I really like them. They're
Yeah.
really
Hmm. Yeah. All right. Shall we
all right,
talk
all right.
about do 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 do?
I don't think that Mithril is getting home for Life Day.
No, that Mithril is
Can
not
say
getting
that
home for
much.
Life Day.
Oh.
Um.
Did he get a name in that new encyclopedia? I know a bunch of things got names.
Oh, was that the? Oh, that's the dude that he froze in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I remember was that it was Horatio Sands that played him.
Nope. Still the Mithril.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No name.
Well, it's that time, my friends. It is time because I mean, all the other topics were like really quick, you know, and like this one, I just wanted to sink our teeth into because we're kicking off our Road to Skeleton Crew. We are ready for, there you go. We are ready for the fun and silliness of
Yes.
Goonies in space.
Yes. So
Yes.
excited.
We are ready for space pirates. We are
Yes.
ready for all of it. And what better way to kick this off than a series that eventually introduces space pirates with The Mandalorian? We're going to be talking about season 1 tonight, which I think
Season
is,
1.
yeah, which I actually
Lifetime ago.
rewatched that. 5 years. I still can't believe 5 years.
Crazy. So
Um,
crazy.
yeah, I rewatched it recently, and oh man, that first episode, like the very beginning when he just comes walking into the cantina, like just
Golden.
oh, so iconic. And I love the sound of the spurs too, like as he's like walking in. Um and then that bar fight is brutal. That bar fight is brutal.
The door.
Yeah.
The
Oh yeah.
door.
When he cuts the, yeah. And John, you got it. I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold.
Ah, the like, yeah. Even just like we could talk about Din's character development across the entire show, but
Oh
like
yeah.
just from the first episode of the first season to the last episode of the first season, like end of season 1 Din is not saying I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold.
No.
Right. No.
No.
And that's a good thing. Like
Hmm.
I like that for him.
I will say this before we dive into just season 1 here. I love that there are times throughout all 3 seasons where we get glimpses of the old Mandalorian from that very first episode, that brutal Mandalorian. And like at times you need to see that, and at times he needs to do that. But I love that as this show goes on, he realizes he's not defined by that. And Allie, you being our Mandalorian expert.
Yeah, resident Mandalorian expert.
Which I'm not, making fun or anything.
No,
like,
no,
you are our Mandalorian expert.
I know my brand.
Yeah, exactly. So I just have to ask you, when they announced this show, and then you sit down and you watch it, like, what's going through your mind as just like this Mandalorian super fan of like the culture?
Okay, so at first, like, I got just a little worried because it was like at first it was like really pushed as like a bounty hunter and like just like pew pew, like get the targets kind of show. And as a big Mandalorian fan, I think like at first I was like, are we really gonna like do justice to like, because like I don't, I care about these characters so much and like their history and the weight of it and everything is like so important to me. So I was a little nervous at first, but this show exceeded my expectations very, very much. In terms of, because from right off the bat, while there was some bounty hunting, obviously, we were shown so much Mandalorian, so like so much Mandalorian stuff off the bat and so much unique stuff. And this is what I really love about like Mandalorians is getting to, because they are a very complicated people, like lots of different factions of Mandalorians, lots of different belief systems, lots of different attachments to the creed and to what is the way and what is the best way to move forward based on like the trauma and all the messiness that we faced in the past, and how attached are we to our warrior way versus our like to our other ideals. So I just really loved everything this show did with the time period and how it, like, what the Empire did has led to where they are now, and also just seeing a unique group of Mandalorians that are very like specific, like everyone calls it a cult, I know, but like just like very uniquely tied to their belief of the way. And I always just from the bat have been like super interested to see how that develops. Obviously we have thoughts about the later seasons, but like just ultimately off the bat I was super excited to see how they were going to develop Mandalorian history and where they are now and what was going to happen in the future. Yeah, it was super fun.
I also find it interesting that we do get a 6-year time jump between Return of the Jedi and the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's really interesting to see the galaxy at this time with the New Republic in charge and with the Bounty Hunter Guild and the Mandalorian, the different Mandalorian sects and everything. Leah, your thoughts on Mando, like going into it?
So I went into it. I was in a very like interest because I've always been a Star Wars fan, right? But my Star Wars fandom at that point was mostly just once a year going to the movie theater, which is still more than it was for a long time.
Oh yeah.
But like I wasn't watching Rebels. I wasn't watching Resistance. And like I was reading the books, but that's aside, unrelated. But Mando was the thing that like my two roommates who were also about in the same place as Star Wars fans at the time, we came back from that like winter break and we had all watched The Mandalorian and we just looked at each other and we were like, wow. And I think that's the best way that I can summarize how I felt about it when it first came out, and like still going back to the first season of The Mandalorian, it's a whole experience.
It is.
It's fun. It's
Mhm.
fun.
It was
It's not the like complexity of Andor, and it's not
yeah.
the lightsaber swinging exhilaration of the Acolyte, but
Mhm.
it's another like layer of Star Wars that's just so much fun to see.
Mhm.
And like there's no Star Wars story more classic than family and protecting
Oh, yeah.
people. Like using power to protect people is like the whole idea of the Jedi,
Mhm.
especially in the original trilogy. And like it's just great. It's another way to tell the same story, which is, you know,
Mhm.
I forget who referred to Star Wars as a modern mythology, but like it's that same idea where like you have multiple stories that teach the same
Mhm.
lesson.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the beauty of Star Wars. That's the beauty of The Mandalorian. I love with The Mandalorian that they really leaned into the Western aspect of Star Wars in
Yeah.
this show.
Focusing on the Outer Rim,
Yeah,
focusing on
and taking us to a lot of places we hadn't been before either.
Mhm.
And they did such a great job of practical effects and giving it post Return of the Jedi vibes. And yeah, exactly. Like
yeah.
there was a great mixture of both practical and visual effects for the show.
Like
Um,
people speak poorly on the volume now, but like it was an absolute game changer because it
oh yeah.
made the environments look less CGI. It made it
Hmm.
like yes, the environments were like not full sets,
Hmm.
but it's harder to tell than with like the prequels.
Hmm. Well,
And it's
I'll,
not knocking the prequels. The prequels
no,
did great things
yeah.
for for CGI and
Hmm.
you know
Mhm.
visuals in general.
Um,
But like they're the graphics are a different technology. Blah blah
mhm.
blah.
I will say this: it also gave us Nick Nolte in a Star Wars project, as Quill or Quill, and then we
He
also
has
had
spoken.
yes, and then we also had Carl Weathers, which gone too soon, gone
Yeah,
too soon.
gone too soon.
Amazing, amazing as Grief Karga, absolutely
Let
amazing
me
as
just
Grief Karga.
say, I was at MegaCon when
Mhm.
news broke of that, and oh my gosh, everyone was just so depressed when that like announced like when that news dropped. It was oh,
Yeah,
it was rough.
that was very. I mean, it's oh, man, because actually, I don't think that show would have worked as well without him.
Exactly. Right.
Honestly,
Yeah.
him and even Werner Herzog as the client. Um,
Yeah, the two of them provided a very interesting like axis. The two of them and then the armor provided like a very
mhm,
interesting like three kind of sliders that
mhm,
Mando was deciding between in that
mhm.
season,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
which
Yeah.
is very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, I just want to dive in. Well, actually, no. I'd love to hear from you guys some more about it. So just keep going, and I'll dive in every once in a while.
All
When
right.
yeah.
Cool.
Um, I think like out of all 3 seasons, I think and this is why when we talked about season 3, I kind of talked about how, like, season 1 when we were, like, a little, like, talking about how, like, it fanfic feel with season 3, why I said season 1 was kind of the outlier because I felt like season 1 out of all 3 seasons, it really knew precisely what it wanted to accomplish and it
Hmm.
executed it very, very well.
Hmm.
Um, in terms of, like, having that, like, full circle well, not even full circle because obviously we have later development with these characters, but, like, more of a full circle feel in terms of a character growing, like, and a character going through a journey and where does that journey lead this character, and I also just I really appreciated how every episode just felt so purposeful and so layered. I think the fact that, like because we I talk a lot about how, Mandalorians, regardless of what happens, are a warrior culture. That's why they shouldn't all be all kumbaya now. They are a warrior like culture. Um, but ultimately to see the way the purge and everything, like I said, that's happened has hardened them even more. And to see even a bit of an opening up to to Grogu, to other characters, to IG, to Grogu, to Grief Karga, just slowly working to open up still like is so powerful, because like you have to realize, like, even if this cult is super isolated, like Mandalorians as an entire creed, as an entire as an entire group have been through so much. And even in this season they go through a lot. Like they're still being wiped out constantly. But and we see this too later in the show with season 3 with Navarro, but just to see the way that these characters, mainly Din, are able to still work to open up to others despite being so hardened by the world around them. I think that's what is so powerful about the time period they chose to have this show in, because a big thing with this like post-imperial time period, which includes like the Bad Batch, is you have these characters so hardened by war. Like with the Bad Batch, they're trapped in this new cycle, this new thing with the Empire, and they don't know what's going on. And now with the Mandalorian, they just had the purge happen, and they have to it's coming to adapt to these new situations, like these new situations, these new points in time that they're put into, and having to adapt to that and grow and still work to be open to others. It's such a powerful thing, the fact that we see a character get to grow and become more open to others, despite being in a very tricky predicament in terms of how the world is responding to Mandalorians.
Yeah. So coming into this show from significantly less of a background knowledge of Mandalorian culture. I mean, I definitely had more knowledge of Mandalorian stuff than like the average watcher. I'd played KOTOR, I'd watched the Clone Wars, but it immediately hooked me with their whole deal. Like John mentioned in the comments, the armor as kind of the figurehead of this group, where like, you know, we knew that like the Beskar, the armor, was important to them, but to make the leader of their community be not, and she's very particular, more so in Book of Boba Fett, but you can see this throughout. She doesn't really make weapons. She makes armor,
right,
and like defensive weapons,
right.
And I think that's so fascinating because, like, you know, if you really want to look at it, everything else in the Mandalorian culture is teaching them how to be weapons themselves.
Yeah.
And I feel like it worked really well for them to have like the leader of this group be the one who's like, okay, you're really good at killing things. I'm just gonna make sure that you don't die, because you should not die. And then I like that, like, her whole goal throughout everything that she does in season 1 especially is keep her people alive at any cost.
I find it really interesting, like when they talk about weapons in Mandalorians, and a lot of the consensus with a lot of Mandalorians is, oh, weapons are our religion, and the armor is like, yes and no.
Like, weapons are your religion, but
she's like, yeah, weapons are important, but also like making sure there's still Mandalorians left is more important.
Especially with the purge. And it's such an interesting mirror to the Jedi, how you know, the Jedi were all but wiped out, and they had to go to ground, go against what they would normally do. Like, the Mandalorians, you know, 6 years after the 6 years after the war, are not organizing wars themselves. They're not putting together armies. They're scraping by.
A group of them is living in a sewer.
That's what I'm
They're
saying.
living in
Like,
a
yeah.
like a group of them is living in a sewer.
Right.
Yeah.
The like former leader of their people is living out of her van down by the river. Like
Thank
they're
you, Matt Foley. Thank you.
but they're scraping by.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
what's more important isn't like all of the fancy accoutrement of their culture. Is what's important is keeping alive and keeping the culture alive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep apologizing for jumping into the other seasons in this discussion, but I think
I'm
like
okay with it.
It's inevitable.
It's
inevitable.
Yeah.
And I think that's like why when Din is meeting like Bo-Katan and other Mandalorians, and why that reaction is just so big to see the actions of other Mandalorians, because like you said, Leah, like when you get so attached to a way of like survival or a commitment to a way of living as a means, and like because if it is their way and it is their way that they have lived by, it's going to be difficult to accept or understand other ways of existing in this galaxy at this point in time, and also especially like and that's why with like the later seasons, with all like the stuff with Bo-Katan and with everything, like because there are people, Mandalorians have been through such a cycle of violence over and over, so like you said, if they have this group and this way of living, like the way, and it's keeping them alive, it's going to be challenging to challenge that, to have other perspectives in the room about that, when those other perspectives have led to pain in the past. And I will never forget the show, because like we're saying, it lays so much good foundation for stuff like relating to like the Darksaber and relating to Bo-Katan. I feel like it could have executed it so much better. I don't want to get into that, but like I ultimately, that's what I love so much about these early seasons, is they really just have such an awareness of what these characters have been through and how that impacts how they're reacting to things now. Yeah, I just so good.
One of my favorite bits, and I'll jump to season 2 here because you mentioned Bo-Katan. But one of my favorite bits is in the first episode with the Marshal, with Cobb Vanth showing up, and Cobb's wearing the armor and everything, and Mando's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's a Mandalorian. And as soon as Cobb takes his helmet off, like Din's just like, what? Like, why are you taking your helmet off? Like,
exactly.
The acting that all of the people who wear the Mando suit, who wear Din's armor, the acting that they accomplish without any facial expressions,
right,
is, I mean, like, that is an art unto itself. You know, masks have always been a part of theater,
right?
But like recent television and movies have not leaned into mask work as much. So to have these actors who can emote without emoting, who can, you know, we rely so much on like moving eyes and stuff to communicate, and to have to do that all turning the whole head and moving the whole body, just fantastic. And that scene is one of my favorite. Like, you can, it's like his eyes go wide, even though you cannot see his eyes.
And to that point, like I remember when the like when he first takes off his helmet in Mandalorian, how so many people were like applauding Pedro for the performance, in the sense that his expression in that scene, he captures so well the fact that he's not used to emoting to people. Like, he's not used to people seeing his face, having to display those emotions to other people, like the way his eyes move, the way he handles himself emotion-wise. I'd love that he's so aware in that scene of the fact that like this is a character, a person who's never shown their face, so they don't really know like how to express
the way that like his eyes would barely move when he's moving his head, because he has to look straight forward.
And
that holds for like every scene where the mask is off.
Right.
I love in that scene where IG-11 takes the helmet off, you just see how scared he is because he's just like, well, somebody's going to catch me, somebody's going to tell the other Mandalorians that I took my helmet off
Right.
and I'm going to be excommunicated, and like you see all of those things go through his face in just that tiny scene. But then like that scene later on in the season 2 finale with him and Grogu, and how Grogu, the last thing Grogu wants to see is his face, and then like he holds his hand up to his face and everything. Like, it's such a powerful scene, and you got to give credit to Pedro Pascal for
Yeah.
for those scenes. Even the scenes with him in Mayfeld, like in season 2, are just, oh man. Let's talk about everybody's favorite merchandising tool now. Yeah.
Can I? This is a very strong tangent and not related to
No, go.
not really
Go,
related
go.
to season 1.
Go.
Do you think that we will see Mayfeld in the Battle of Jakku comics?
I hope
Because
so.
he was in the Anuat sector.
Yeah.
Right.
I hope
doing
we see
Cinder
him.
there.
I hope we see him. And I hope like we get like a really good story with him. Yeah, I would love to see that. I really would.
Anyway, we're talking
Battle
Grogu.
of Jakku. Yeah, we're talking.
We're talking marketable green boy.
Yeah, okay. Before we dive into this, I just want to say real quick.
Oh no.
Look, I'm just gonna say a couple of things, and then we can dive into this. And if I sound toxic about this, I apologize. I get why they did what they did with Grogu. Like, I understand why they did it. And for the most part, he's a fun little character to go like with the serious thing. To go with the serious protagonist and everything. But I will say this: I feel like, and Leah and Allie, like we've talked about this before a couple of times. I really feel like Grogu should not have been in season 3. Grogu should also have not been in Book of Boba Fett. I feel
Book
like
of Boba Fett, I very much enjoy it.
Yeah, me too. I do too.
Yeah.
I enjoy all 5 episodes of Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, all 5 episodes, yes.
And it's weird that season 2.5 of The Mandalorian was only 2 episodes, but
I know, it's such a short season. Oh my god.
I
know.
Like, I understand why they did it. Ultimately, I can't really. The main thing that I don't like is how it was arranged.
Right.
I agree.
How he came back in a different show.
Yeah.
But like
I mean, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
This is the one of the saddest things. So there was a lot of discourse around the rescue, regarding like Luke, regarding like Grogu, regarding all of that. And I spent like 2.5 hours on my podcast defending this episode, defending the decisions, defending everything.
No, I get it.
And then the fact that they just undid all of that so quickly, and like you said, Leah, in a completely different show.
Yeah.
It felt like such a disservice to the powerful moment that existed in that Mandalorian episode with him leaving. Because to me, I thought that episode was powerful. I liked that decision. I liked the place it put those characters in, and it could have been so interesting to spend more time with Din without Grogu. And seeing how he reacts to that, and how how much he reverts or doesn't revert as as a person. So I think, like, for me, obviously a big part of it is the fact that it was in Book of Boba Fett, but I think they just needed more time apart. They really did.
They did.
As cute as that reunion scene is, and like it's adorable. Don't get me wrong. Like, don't get me started. It's so cute. But there is so much they could have done with those characters if they had just kept them apart for longer.
And honestly, and we'll get back into Grogu in season 1 here in a minute.
Yeah.
But honestly, like I would have loved to have seen Din without Grogu during the whole season of them trying to take back Mandalore.
Yeah.
Like I think it would have been really interesting.
Right.
Now granted, we did get to see Doc Brown and Jack Black and a few others interact with Grogu, and you know that was fun. That was fun.
He became a freaking like he got knighted.
Yeah, he got knighted, which I was like, all right, cool. You know, good on you, bud. Like,
good on you.
Yeah, good on you, bro. But at the same time, the rescue episode does not feel as earned as it did back then.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's sad that I spent all this time building up how it was a good decision, and then they just were like, "Screw you, Ellie."
Yeah. And you're right, Leah. It is about 5 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett that's absolutely incredible.
We love those 5 episodes.
And John, yes. And we've talked about this before time and time again. And John, the taking back of Mandalore should have been longer. Absolutely. That should have been a couple of seasons, them trying to fight for every inch of Mandalore. Because to me it just seemed a little too convenient that they wrapped that all up at the end of season 3.
And like I could see it being a season. I just think it could have used like it if they wanted to wrap it up in a season, which I can see them doing that, they would have had to sacrifice some of the semi-episodic nature that they like to have in that show.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You mean Side Quest Fest?
You can't really have as much of an adventure of the week if you're trying to win a protracted war on a wasteland planet.
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree. Like we talked about this a ton, Eric, when we talked about like the 3 finales, so we don't have to talk about it much more.
Yeah.
What I'll say here for people who didn't listen to that episode is like I definitely agree. I think like when you have such a build up to this being such a significant moment in their lives and like their taking back of Mandalore. Well, I said in the season 3 episode, like Mandalore, the planet, was never like the unification factor. Like ultimately, still that is still such a huge thing for them. That is such a huge thing, especially because the show chose to make it like such a big unification factor. So with all of that weight put on that decision, it should have been given more time to be earned. Especially, and this is how I phrased it at the very end of that episode we talked about is, if this is the decision they're going to make, I don't want them to just be all kumbaya now. Like we talked about how there should be, just because we got the planet doesn't mean we got the planet. You know what I mean? Like we're not going to be all healed and perfect and everything's okay just because we took back Mandalore. So I'm interested to see what they do with Bo-Katan and everyone in the future. But yeah, I
how
think...
many of those creepy spider guys are still in the deep caves?
Right.
And how many more secret Imperial bases are on the planet too?
That's what I'm saying. Like there's gotta still be more to it. I hope there is. That would, to me, at least make it feel less hurtful for a Mandalorian fan, is if they're gonna actually acknowledge and recognize that like this is way more complicated than just one episode, we're done, yay, we took it back. So we'll see.
I mean, so let's go to the introduction of Baby Yodi.
Baby Yodi.
It was fine.
Oh.
You know, I mean, it was cute seeing him.
So I did not watch the first few episodes as they came out, so like I knew that there was gonna be the baby Yoda, but
Rogus.
I like him. Like I don't like the. I have
He's grown on
everywhere,
me
which is
as
a
the
little.
show- yeah.
But he's fun. He's a funky
He's
little
fun.
guy.
He's fun. He's grown on me. I mean, he's grown on me as the show's gone on.
I am well known to be the defender. If anyone goes back to watch those episodes with Eric, every time Eric grabs something on Grogu, I'm like, I don't know.
I did quite a bit.
And
I am
I
not
always look
putting
and
him
be
into
like,
a blender. I am.
I think at one point I said I wanted to drop kick him.
Yeah, and then I
At
probably
one point.
like got a very angry face after that.
because I was tired of seeing him in everything.
Oh yeah, no, you vented on
And
the
on
marketing.
everything.
So,
Yeah.
That I understand.
Yeah.
Um,
At that point, yeah.
The only thing I've on record, the only thing I've honestly ever complained about this character is the name. I don't know why. I've just never
Grogu.
vibed with it. I don't like it. And also just okay, not only the Grogu, but like also the don't even get me started about the whole like the whole last name first name thing. Like it should not be Din Grogu. It should be Grogu Jaren.
Grogu? Yeah.
Don't even get me
I
started.
accept Din Grogu because Din was a foundling and like maybe whatever planet he came from did it like that.
I know. Okay, but like on record, that's the only thing I really ever like the name. I just Grogu and never vibed with it. But honestly, he's so cute. I love him, and I also feel like for me, he is like he always for me was like that levity. I feel like this show could have been a lot darker without him, and I think it's important for us to remember that like there's always going to be an element of levity. We have Basil and Acolyte. We have freaking I don't know Gorgs and like Gorgs and Resistance. I know Resistance is a kid show, but like there's always going to be some goofy kind of element to make those like harsher moments have some levity.
The Narkinans at the end of the prison arc in Andor.
Yeah. Like there's always going to be some element of levity, like because. Honestly, and I just always appreciate that, and like I said, the amount of the way that he opens up Din's heart always meant so much more to me than like I don't know.
John, I'm not saying he doesn't work. I'm just saying I was tired of seeing him.
I think that it is important that Star Wars stories have characters who people can name their dogs after.
Exactly.
I think that Grogu is a very easy character to name your dog after.
I will understand.
How many little dogs do you think there are out there named Grogu?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And how many dogs after the Acolyte, or even how many cats after the Acolyte were named Basil?
I loved the Acolyte. I love Basil. He's not you can't name a dog after him because it sounds like you're naming your dog after Basil Exposition.
But
like Chewbacca, great dog name.
Yeah.
Yoda. My grandma had a cat named Yoda.
Yeah.
I will also say one of my favorite Grogu moments is still when he's sitting in the cockpit with Din in the old space Honda, and he just keeps pushing the buttons, and Din keeps telling him to like stop pushing the buttons.
Oh my gosh! And don't even get me started about like the no yes thing.
Okay, that was pretty funny.
That was so funny.
Yeah,
it was so good.
I also love the bit where he has Grogu trying to do the wiring. He's like, and he even tells Grogu, he's like, don't do this. Don't do this. And Grogu does it anyway. And like, you just see him like get electrocuted and then cough out some smoke.
Everyone should know that little kids do not respond to the words no and not.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
They just fully do not hear those words.
Yeah. One more thing I will say. So there's two facets to this. So I understand like the oversaturation argument you're saying, Eric. Like I understand that. But in terms of like his presence and pushing the presence, here's how I understand it on some level. A lot, mainly with the first two seasons endings, there is a lot of tragic element placed upon like losing Grogu. And I think if you're going to get your audience attached to like, not even just like to say, oh wow, he's cute, but oh my gosh, it's like a character that has to have such significant weight plot wise, I can kind of understand why they included all those moments, why they pushed him so much, because your show will fail ultimately. If an audience doesn't care about the character that keeps getting captured, then the show isn't going to succeed as well. And also, I'm sorry, I had to bring this up because I was rereading my Mandalorian podcast notes before this episode. I just remember watching when he gets captured in like season 2, and they had like the freaking Empire remnants had baby shackles.
Oh yeah,
baby shackles. Like the fact that they had that is so sad.
I mean, there's small species in the galaxy.
I know, but still.
Not many, but
well, that I love that you talk about like the grief and the stakes of losing him, because that's why this whole bit with him rescuing Grogu and then the Mandalorians helping them out in season 1 is such a turning point in their story.
Right.
Because that's before we get to the Magnificent 7 bit of the season. But yeah, like the whole rescue and like Din struggling with giving Grogu to the client.
Right.
After the first mission and everything, just like really just drives home that this kid formed an attachment with Din like right away, and Din formed an attachment with him right away too, because Din has never like really, outside of his Mandalorian family, Din hasn't really had any family except for his parents, but they were killed during the Clone Wars by super battle droids. So I just find it interesting that how quickly he gets attached, and like how he's just like, no, I'm not attached. Like I couldn't care less about the kid. And it's like, really? So that's why you went back and like crisped up a bunch of stormtroopers and everything?
That's why you risked your life repeatedly for that kid.
Yeah. But he means nothing to you whatsoever. Yeah. John says only Moff Gideon would have baby cuffs. Maybe Tarkin. Maybe Tarkin.
Maybe Tarkin.
Maybe
Tarkin.
Maybe Tarkin. Maybe even Gallius Rax at some point, probably.
Yeah, and I don't even think Adelhard would.
No, he'd just kill the kid. Tell me I'm wrong. See, that's right.
Like I'm far from #1 Thrawn defender, but Thrawn would let the kid go.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now Thrawn would plant a tracking chip in said kid.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But like the kids can still go home.
Oh, right. Yeah. And I could see Uncle Thrawn checking in on the kid.
Thrawn does have like foundational trauma around children being taken, so I can understand him not wanting to contribute to that. Yeah. However, definitely Gideon.
Oh yeah,
is the main one.
Oh yeah, Gideon would have baby cuffs. Baby cuffs. Tarkin
I feel like even Rax, the smallest size he has is for like 5-year-olds.
Probably. Yeah. But how many a quick side note, how many 5-year-olds is Gallius Rax interrogating?
This isn't for interrogating. This is for building what will eventually become the First Order Stormtrooper Corps.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that makes sense. Even Hux's dad would probably have some kid cuffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to Kid Cuff
Brendel, absolutely.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I just remember because like that scene, like the weight of it, like, just because, like, even Baby Yoda is like making little cooing, crying noises, and like there's baby cups, and I'm just like, what the frick are we doing? Because I'm sorry, like, if you're gonna have him get like captured 2 seasons in a row, you gotta like up the stakes. And how do you up the stakes? Baby cups, you know? There we go. I don't know, guys. I don't know.
No, I mean, yeah, but
No.
well, even like the noises that he makes to Din
Ugh.
after he turns him into the client,
Ugh.
and he's
Yeah.
like, really, like,
Oh, my heart.
yeah, that damn kid.
Gee.
But it's just interesting to see him evolve over time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and like come into his own as well. And then just do like the whole. Another great bit is during the prison break, and the one droid is hunting Grogu, and Grogu pretty much does Home Alone on the one droid.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think like it's just so powerful with when we're talking about with both Din and Grogu that they come to realize like their family is what they make of it.
Yeah.
In the sense of like how they both go against like what would have traditionally been expected for them, because like both of these characters are consistently trying to find their kind, their people. Like Din's telling, like when Bo-Katan takes off her helmet, Din's like, "You're not a Mandalorian," and like when Grogu is with like Ahsoka, like the Din's like, "I'm just trying to get him back to his kind, like his kind." So
Yeah.
there's a lot of push to find like these people that are their kind, and the fact that they eventually come to a place where they both make the active decision to be like, I don't like my kind is what I make it. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna break some rules, take the steps I need to be with the ones I care about, and that's what matters in the end. So I love that.
And that's the thing too. Like you both hit this nail on the head earlier. Star Wars has always been about found family. It's always been about family, and that's what they do. Like Din becomes Grogu's father, and then Bo-Katan is the really cool lesbian aunt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Love her.
absolutely.
Love her and
and
that
then,
very silly bob she had in the first episode she appeared in.
Oh my god, don't even know.
Who saved who? Oh, are we talking about like the ASPCA dog things? Like who saved who? But instead it's Din and Grogu. Who saved who? Yeah. Who saved who?
I mean,
They saved each
objectively,
other.
they have both saved each other.
Yeah, objectively, they've both saved each other. So, yeah.
Like in a very literal sense.
Yeah.
Din would not have made it to the third episode without Grogu.
Din would not have made it to the third episode without Grogu. Because and I wanted to bring that whole bit up with like the Mudhorn and the Jawas and everything, and I love how like Din has the bassinet like linked to him, so like Din's on a fast moving sand crawler, and like Grogu's just speeding along on the side of like the sand crawler,
right?
And then like when Din falls off, it's Grogu stops and just looks at him like, you think that went the way that you thought it was gonna go? Like,
yeah,
so good. Let's move on from Grogu, and talk about why. Why move on from Grogu? Because I think we've said everything there is to say about his character. My wife's just telling me not to. Let's talk about the villains now, because I want to talk about Moff Gideon, and I want to talk about the client. Or I would like to see the baby.
I would like to see the baby.
I would like to see the baby. Should we start with the client and then go to good old Moff Gideon?
Sure. The client is a fascinating antagonist for the first season. Or for, the majority of the first season.
Yeah, the majority.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it's interesting how one, I mean, this is something that we had in the old EU, of like the Empire doesn't go away instantly.
No.
The Empire doesn't even go away after the war formally ends a year after Andor.
Right.
Because like once you buy into the Empire's whole shtick,
Right.
You're kind of stuck.
you're kind of stuck without a lot of working on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out Erica Quell. You gotta keep working on yourself, girl. But like I like that he's not like a warlord like like a lot of ex-imperials you see. He's not like a military guy. He's
Right.
a bureaucrat kind of guy. He's
just a facilitator.
He's got like 4 stormtroopers.
Right.
Yeah, he's just pretty much a local mayor, essentially.
Yeah. And
That's
I think
what he is.
like it makes you wonder like how many other planets around the Outer Rim are still ruled by, that type of guy. How many other
Quite a few.
planets have a local police force that are just stormtroopers with the serial numbers filed off?
Well, let's keep in mind a lot of those stormtroopers were probably 3 days from retirement, but
Look, we know how it works. They're always 3 days from retirement.
every
how you
single
build
Star
pathos.
Wars character is 3 days from
3
retirement.
days to retirement.
It's like the joke about monsters in D&D. Yeah, their expected lifespan is about 3 rounds.
Yeah.
So the expected lifespan of these, of any stormtrooper is about 3 shots. And that's it.
Now, real quick, since we're talking about the client, would you classify Pershing as a villain?
Oh.
I would classify Pershing as I mean, yes, but like
I can't wait to
he's
hear
not
how
like a
this
primary villain. He's like the scientist who the villain hires to solve problems, which is literally what he is, but like I don't know how better to describe that. Like that's an archetype that you see in a lot of things, where it's like, yes, this is an employee of the main villain. So like by kind of association, he is a villain. And like he worked for the Empire, which is, they did a lot of bad stuff. I don't know if you know this.
What?
No, the Empire's not bad.
But, right, he doesn't want to hurt Grogu, but he wants to advance his research. And his research, we can connect the dots. We can put up our red string. Is to bring the Emperor back eventually.
I mean that between Bad Batch and this, yes.
Yeah. Which is an objectively very bad thing to do. Did not go super well for the galaxy. Couple planets got exploded.
Again?
It doesn't go well for the galaxy.
Again?
Nobody tell K-Vest that Kajimi got blown up. But like he's a villain. He's not the villain.
Yeah. I was just wondering what your thoughts were on him. Allie, hit me.
So yeah, so I'll go with so for me there are some characters in Star Wars. For example, like with Gideon, I will villain, where like they're like clearly just their intention is so like to the point of like like necessarily it's more of that Empire or propaganda like focus. Like here's how I see Pershing. I want to bring in like two facts, two examples. So one example, so Pershing is like very, like you said, very like dedicated to furthering research and like like career, not career wise, but you know what I mean, like very dedicated to like his career aspirations in a kind of way. And I always like think back to two things. Tam. So Tam, her major draw to join the First Order was to fly, to achieve her dreams, to get that opportunity to do what she wanted to do in life. Sometimes people will go to outlets that they shouldn't to capitalize, to have the resources to achieve their dreams, to have the means to do what they want to accomplish. So I guess for me, I always saw Pershing he wasn't necessarily following the propaganda as much as he was following his own personal aspirations. Unfortunately, his personal aspirations got yanked into the whole empire thing. But the important thing, like as to whether those characters are villains or not, is being able to, like Tam, come to realize that that dream is not worth what the cost will be. That dream is not worth like what will happen. And like you brought up Bad Batch too. Like the scientists in Bad Batch, like with like Nala Se and like with like all of that stuff, it's like a similar kind of situation where it's like you're trying to further research, but oh my gosh, this research is gonna have a bad impact on people. It's gonna hurt people.
Yeah, he is. I think he is a villain in that he is literally working with the villains against the hero.
Exactly.
I don't think that he's like an irredeemable character.
Right.
I think that like he was clearly on the track to be like, yeah, I don't want my research to be used for this. I don't like this. I don't want to do this anymore. Which is like, yeah, it's the same thing that Tam did. Tam was a villain for a while.
Yeah,
he was working for the First Order.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think that he was irredeemable. I don't, but he was a villain for sure.
Yeah, no. I'm not trying to say he wasn't. I'm just trying to say that from my perspective, like you said, he is more open to that path.
He was never saying we shouldn't perform painful research on the baby. He was just saying we shouldn't kill the baby while performing the research.
Pershing in a way reminds me of Galen Erso.
Yes.
In a way where, and if you have not read Catalyst, do yourself a favor and read that book, because
and read it. It's good.
Yeah, it really is. But and the reason
why nothing else.
And the reason why I bring up Catalyst is Galen thinks he's doing research to help power cities and planets and everything.
Because that's what it was originally. Yeah. That's what his work was originally for. So he figured it was the same thing.
And then Krennic tricks him into doing it. And then finally, like, Krennic's like, no, I'm going to hold you hostage now because,
because now you know too much.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure that that's fairly similar to what happened to Pershing. We know what Pershing's original motivation was. Pershing wanted to cure diseases. He wanted to extend lifespans, wanted to help people. It got corrupted.
Yeah, Pershing's presentation about like what he was working on, like in that season 3 episode of The Mandalorian, was just amazing. Like, I loved hearing about like what he was trying to work on.
Yeah.
As much as I'm like, some Imperials definitely deserve to be on board the Death Star. Like
that.
And I think the Alphabet Squadron trilogy handles this really well. It's like, yes, almost everyone who worked for the Empire was complicit in horrible things.
Yeah.
But most of them are still willing and able to try to fix that now that they have the chance.
Yeah, which is why I found
not most of them. Many of them are willing and able to, and the ones who aren't willing and able to fix their problems are Elia Kane, Moff Gideon, the Client, the stormtroopers who work for the Client.
The stormtroopers that hit babies when they're in pouches on speeder bikes.
Stop.
Right, like that, like those troopers, they were never going to be reassimilated into the general population. They were never going to become New Republic citizens.
No.
But I find it interesting that we see how many people between like Alphabet Squadron, even Battlefront, showing how many people actually defected from the Empire to join the New Republic and to like
Yeah.
try to fix things because they
Mhm.
realized, oh crap, we're also on the losing side, but hey, this isn't actually what I want to do.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think even like Doza didn't defect from the Empire until Endor,
Mm.
No, it wasn't
like
until
after
Andor.
Endor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
But even Iden Versio.
Versio, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
and yeah. All right. So Pershing, not a bad guy. Client, bad guy. Gideon,
Really bad guy.
Client
really
is very banality of evil type character, you know?
yes.
Yeah.
Gideon, really, really bad
That's
guy.
what I'm saying. Really bad
But
character.
entertaining bad guy.
Oh,
Bad guy, man.
can we?
Look, the difference between Gideon and the Client is like what makes a villain super? Presentation.
Oh,
That's Gideon.
well, and you gotta hand it to not only the writing, but Giancarlo Esposito in that casting.
Yeah.
He
Oh my
is
god, yeah.
perfect. He
Right.
is absolutely perfect as Gideon. Um,
Mhm.
I hate the whole cloning angle that they've done with him. Um, I do not like that angle whatsoever because, and
Um,
we know the one that died on Mandalore, spoiler alert, the one that died on Mandalore is a clone. We all know it's going to be a clone.
oh, for sure.
Close
For
enough.
sure.
Welcome back, Luke.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think how I phrased it when we talked about that finale is like I said it like this. I was like, yeah, Gideon is self-centered enough to do something like that though. So
Oh, yes.
like, I get
Yes.
it, but
Yeah.
like why?
Now, I will say this. Love that Gideon had death troopers
Oh yeah.
with him.
Yeah.
I love that whole shootout with the cantina and everything. I love Din grapple hooking onto the TIE fighter and taking it down. I love all of that.
I love Karga casually like taking a shot in the background.
Yeah.
It,
I forgot he does that.
he has the bottle of bright neon blue spotchka, which spotchka is one of my favorite additions to the Star Wars canon of named foods and beverages.
It's such a great
Um,
name.
Yes.
it's blue, so you know it fits in. It's right up there with Gourmand's Glow Blue Noodles. Welcome back, Life Day Connection. Speaking of Life Day connections, Din's blaster. Din's whatchamacallit?
Oh, his rifle? Yeah,
Yeah, his
his
rifle
rifle
is
is from
from
that.
the holiday special.
Yeah, with Boba Fett riding a dinosaur.
Yeah. Anyway, just that whole scene is so. I think it's great how. I think one of the things that The Mandalorian handled really well is making stormtroopers and like Imperial foot soldiers in general an actual threat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
Because there were so few of them relative to like, the original trilogy.
Yeah.
And because they don't have a Jedi on their side, they struggle against, a couple heavy troopers.
I also want to say, and I gotta bring this up because of Allie.
Oh gosh, what?
I
Oh no.
love that after Gideon survives the TIE fighter crash,
Uh-huh.
he brings the dark saber out
Uh-huh.
and cuts himself out of the TIE fighter.
Iconic.
And I was just like, yeah, and I'm like, what other badass way is this guy like gonna get out of this wreckage? Like,
Right? Like
I I loved getting to explain to like my dad what that was.
oh yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Oh no,
Pe-
for sure. Oh my gosh, like you don't even know, like because you know me,
yeah.
Mandalorian obsessed. That moment, my dad's like, "Wait, what?" And then I'm like, "You don't remember that from Rebels?" And he's like, No, and then I just go on a rant about like every single time we've seen the Darksaber in Star Wars.
So a few of my coworkers were watching it. They, they're all older. They refuse to watch like Rebels and Clone Wars and like all this stuff, right? And the finale happens, and I come into work the next morning, and they're like, "So, Eric, what was that thing the dude had at the end?" I was just like, I clock in real quick. I did my beep, and then I looked at him and I said, "How much time you got?"
How much time you got? Right, exactly.
I said, "Because I'm here for 8.5 hours." So,
Right.
so like I had to explain like the Darksaber and everything, and it was like, I wouldn't say it was a chore, but
Oh no, I love doing it. It's like,
oh, I do too.
I love doing it.
I do too.
I screamed so much when that happened. I wish I had recorded my reaction to that episode because
It was great.
It was very crazy very crazy reaction.
It was great watching that with my wife because we both like looked at each other and dropped our jaws and we're like, "What?
What?"
Yeah.
Very Mainly, okay, and also I gotta say, at that point in time, because we had seen Bo with it last, my main thought was, what the frick happened to Bo-Katan? If anything, that made me more mad that day.
Well,
I was like, excuse me?
That was our thing too. We're like, didn't Bo have this?
That's what I was saying. I was like actually worried too, because while they passed it along in a non-traditional way in Rebels, I was still like, I swear, if they actually killed off Bo-Katan, like, what are they
Just
doing?
off screen.
Killed off Bo-Katan. No, I had hope that it was passed along in a non-traditional way, but the fact that it was Gideon of all people holding it made me worried that they killed her off screen. I was like, what did they do? What did they do?
So
you must have been so relieved when she showed up in
oh my god,
season
so
2.
relieved. Like tears of joy, man. Tears of joy.
So let's stick to the finale then. And talk about our boy IG-11 and his sacrifice and how we all cried during that moment. And then we'll also talk about, hey baby, do the hand thing.
Do the hand thing.
Do the hand thing.
Do the magic hand thing.
Yes.
IG-11's sacrifice, earned or unearned?
I think every droid is redeemable.
At the time, it was earned.
At the time, it was earned.
That is what I will say.
Until it became a Gundam suit for Grogu.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is what I'm saying.
Or a Zord for Grogu's Power Ranger.
Right.
Yeah.
At the time, it was earned.
Yeah. And now he's Sheriff of Navarro. I'm like, okay.
It's so random.
I will also say this: Taika Waititi is amazing as IG-11.
Oh yes,
he's great. Yes. As much as I don't like Thor: Love and Thunder that much, I love Taika Waititi. Yeah. That finale is fantastic. We're not going to talk about the black sheep in the room, the one actor.
Oh no!
Yeah.
No.
We're not going to talk about them.
No.
Because they don't deserve it. But the rest of that finale works perfectly.
Yeah.
I personally loved the evolution transformation of IG-11. I did too. I love that he had like this whole epic adventure that like Quill just like expositioned about. he was just...
Also, like, not even just for IG-11, but for Din. Din, the person who starts the season being like, I hate droids, they're the worst thing on the freaking planet. Like, so the fact that he was able to grow too as a result, like, I love it.
Leah?
You mentioned Quill, and can we talk about how the Mandalorian single-handedly made Ugnaughts like I love Melch. I love Melch, and I'm required by my friend Lily to say that because I think she'll hunt me down if I don't mention Melch. I love Melch.
Is he the one from Temptation of the Force?
No, he's the one
No.
from Rebels.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's Hondo's hench guy.
Oh my god, I love him and Hondo so much.
But like I feel like Queel was a really good example of like taking a species that had previously been very put into a niche. Like even Melch was just like a technician. And
Yeah.
like yes, Queel is still a technician, but he's
a farmer.
He's a farmer first.
Yeah.
And like I think that it to me feels similar to Hera being like a Twi'lek who is not there to be ogled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
Especially a female Twi'lek who's not there to be ogled.
Yeah.
And I really like that because I feel like the Ugnaught characters that we've had since Queel have been much more varied and layered. Belin from the High Republic being a fantastic example.
Because I love how all of them just even now just go, I have spoken. Like they all say I have spoken. Yeah.
And I like that too. Like I love when I love when things have impact on other things. Like that's why I like that Star Wars is this big connected franchise. It's because you can have these like moments where you see like the trail back to where all of these different things started. You can trace the trail back to the holiday special for everything that we have about Mandalorian. You can trace back to like a one-off like line every time that a character says, I've got a bad feeling about this. It's and I just think that that's part of the fun. And I think that I have spoken, you have spoken, he has spoken is a recent addition to that like
for sure
great web of storytelling.
For sure.
I agree.
Yes.
I have spoken.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, looking back on it now, 5 years later, that first season is just so much fun.
Oh, it's so good.
And it has the right amount of silliness. I mean, Jeans Guy. We still talk about Jeans Guy.
Oh my god, Jeans Guy. Yes.
We still talk about Jeans Guy. We still talk about that. We talk about just the magic hand thing and just it's just such a fun first season. Also, I just want to go back to Gideon real quick. I love the Bond villain vibes that he has. Like I love that with Gideon. Like I don't want it with every Star Wars villain, but he's the one that I want the Bond villain vibes from.
Oh, yes.
He's the kind, yeah.
Like, and like I saw something with Giancarlo Esposito at one convention, and somebody asked him about like portraying Gideon, and he's like, "Yeah, no, I wanted to go over the top with it. Like that was my whole point. Was just crank it up to a 20 on that. Yeah. What else do we want to talk about with the show?
So maybe let's cut out the finale because it's just so golden.
The finale is golden.
Of one?
What is the finale of season 1?
Yes.
We're talking season 1 today.
Yes, I know. I know.
What is everyone's favorite episode of season 1?
Oh gosh. I can do this. I just need to pull up the list to remember.
I don't remember the names of the episodes. I remember the things that happened in them.
Right, exactly.
Mine is actually it's the Sin, and it's the one where he goes back to rescue Grogu.
Yes.
I
that one's
love
so
that.
good.
I love that episode so much. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say no, for sure. The Sin is definitely a top one for me because of that whole the Mandalorians, coming out of the sewers and like taking a stand. That is just
all of
so
the Mandalorian
powerful.
stuff in that episode is so good.
So good.
And
So
the
good.
respect that Paz and Din have for each other at the end of that episode is just awesome.
The other one I'll mention, because it's just so much fun, The Prisoner is so fun. That episode is so fun. I still to this day
that's the one that I was gonna
kick out of watching it.
That's the one with Richard Ayoade as the droid, I believe. And he's like, that's the Home Alone Grogu. That's what I call the Home Alone Grogu.
Home Alone Grogu.
Yeah.
That one was just like that was such an interesting because we don't see much of the New Republic in the first season of Mandalorian. Even in the first 2 seasons, we see very little of the New Republic.
But
they're kind of like a distant entity. And we can see them kind of encroaching on Navarro and that part of the Rim. Which, have we mentioned that Navarro is like weirdly close to all of the locations from phase 1 of the High Republic?
It really is.
It is weirdly close to the Amaxian station.
Yeah.
But like, I think that was a good first look at the New Republic, because you can kind of immediately see like, okay, we can definitely already see that there's some problems in the New Republic, and like we know that by the time of the sequels those have exacerbated, and a whole faction has split off from the Republic, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But like, I think that was an interesting way to set those seeds, and also Din as a horror villain, kind of at the end.
So
like,
with the lighting and everything.
At the end of the episode, where he's just showing up in these hallways behind people and taking them out with zero effort. He's so fantastic.
It's so good.
I love that sequence so much. That's also when we see Filoni as Trapper Wolf. He's in that episode.
Yes.
He's when we see Trapper Wolf for the first time.
That's when the X-Wings attack the space station.
Yeah.
And isn't the New Republic like pilot guy Matt Lanter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Lanter. Yeah. He's the prison ship pilot.
He's the prison ship guy.
Yeah. And then the pilots, the X-Wing pilots, are Deborah Chow, Dave Filoni, and Rick Famuyiwa.
Yeah.
And they are amazing. Like in that just one brief scene. It's great. It's so great.
I think, and that was also a really good example of like, because Star Wars has had so many things, it's been around for so long, you can just use the X-Wings as like a shorthand for like, like the X-Wings showing up is like the cavalry arriving,
Right.
That's why I was so happy, like when Carson went to the planet that all the Mandalorians were hiding out on, and he was just like, yeah, no, some stuff's going down, and you need to do this.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, but oh man, the Sin and the Prisoner and the finale are the 3 best episodes in season 1 of The Mandalorian. I mean, they really are. Now, when it comes to season 2, best episode of season 2, in my opinion. Okay, I'm gonna give you 2. The Marshal is number 1.
I love the Marshal.
Because Cobb Vanth is my boy.
I love that dude. Cobb Vanth.
And
I've loved him since Aftermath books
Yes.
first came out.
And then the second one, and I have to do this because Allie's here, it's the one where Bo-Katan shows up.
The Heiress! Yeah!
That one's called The Heiress, right?
Heiress,
That's
yeah.
the Heiress, yes.
Heiress.
That's the
Heiress,
one
Heiress,
with,
I can't pronounce it still too.
When that
that's
one
the one with Titus
aired,
Welliver as the
when that
Imperial
one
Lieutenant.
aired, my roommate and I, who was one of the same roommates from when the first season came out, we were watching every episode, as they came out, and we had watched all of Rebels together. We had rewatched all of Rebels together. We had watched the first season of Book of Boba Fett. So this was like a thing that we had been doing for a while, and we're both very engrossed in these stories.
Are you doing it, Allie?
We're pulling it out now.
That episode came on.
Ooh, need to glasses.
And Bo-Katan showed up, and we were cheering. We were like, we had to like hold back from knocking the food that we had on our coffee table onto the floor. Yeah. We were like going crazy.
When she showed up, my wife and I pretty much threw our hands in the air and yelled yes.
Like, when we saw the Night Owls paint, we were like, oh my god.
I want a live action Satine too, but I don't think that's in the cards right now.
And I understand, I very much understand like the complaint and hesitation around like, oh yeah, but that's, season 2 is where Mando started being filled with these other outside characters. It started requiring more outside knowledge to understand. And like, yes, however, I was the fan being serviced.
Yeah. Exactly, thank you.
Well, one thing is like I talked to a lot of people that didn't really expand their Star Wars knowledge outside of the movies,
right?
Except for the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
and even
they
then,
followed around with season 2 pretty well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that was my point. Like, I talked to a few people that had never watched Rebels, never watched Clone Wars, none of that. And they still watched season 2 of The Mandalorian. And they're like, yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. Like, the characters were really cool. And, like, they kept asking about characters. And I was like, oh, well, go and check this out because it's really awesome to see this character in this. But at the same time, like I said, it's optional because a lot of The Mandalorian was explaining the story of those characters real quick for people that weren't going to watch those projects.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why I love that show so much is that when a character does show up and name drops another character, people are like, huh? And then they're like, oh, this guy did so and so and such, and they're like, oh, okay. Like, yeah.
Like, and that's part of why I like that this show centers on Mandalorians, because like you can very quickly tell a lot about a Mandalorian from their armor. Their armor is very distinctive. Their armor is very
I love
like the Mandalorians and the Jedi have the two most like you can tell the most.
Hello?
Oh.
I think we lost Leah for a second.
No.
Leah, I cut out.
We lost you. I
apologize.
You're fine. But I get what you're saying about the Mandalorian and the Jedi having all those different looks and the different armor and everything.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that makes them so unique. And I love seeing like I saw a Black Series figure earlier today that was just mixed matched armor. That was like orange, blue, green, silver. And I'm like, I love that. I absolutely love it. The Ahsoka episode of season 2 is great. Absolutely. Because we also get the Thrawn name drop. But also the introduction of Morgan Elsbeth is just hands down amazing.
See, I gotta say, so this is so funny. So here I am shedding tears of joy that Bo-Katan is here. And then we get to like the next episode and I'm like, where's Sabine? Because at that point in time, we didn't know where we were in the timeline. We didn't know why Sabine wasn't with Ahsoka. So I literally went from feeling super relieved to like paranoid again. Like that is so funny.
Yeah, because at that point we were wondering if they were searching for Ezra yet.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so what I'll say, the heroes not only getting Bo-Katan, like I said, and the relief that I felt, but also just that was when we really were shown that no, this isn't just the way Mandalorians are now. This is like more than that. Like obviously we knew that like the little covert on Zara was like niche, but we didn't know if all Mandalorians had like adopted those like customs now. So the fact that we got like Bo-Katan in that episode and being like the divisiveness about like, oh no, Din, you're a part of a group that broke away from Mandalorian society, and then Bo-Katan, Din's like, no, but you're not a Mandalorian because you took off your helmet, and just getting to see those like different perspectives about where Mandalorians are and what they're like they're gonna be in the future. I love that episode so much. I love it. It's so good. Yes.
Yeah. This show, I think, is very, very important to Star Wars because not only is it setting up heir to the Empire, essentially, but it's one of those shows that doesn't rely a lot on previous movies. It tries to do its own thing while still paying homage to it, which I really like. And honestly, I love when we've talked about this before. I love when Star Wars is all about the underworld elements and bounty hunting and Mandalorians and all of that stuff, because that to me is like my bread and butter when it comes to Star Wars. Of course, I love Jedi stories. I mean, I'm a huge High Republic fan. I love those stories, but give me Mandalorians fighting any day, and I got you. Like, I'm here for it.
Kind of the one, a thing that I am like, because in general, there's a lot of complaining about it, but in general, I am enjoying this kind of what is referred to as the Mandoverse.
Yeah.
However, I am like, okay, but when it ends, we can start getting other people telling stories about Mandalorians again.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing too, because like we can go back in time and do that Mandalorian Civil War that happened during the Old Republic era. Like, Allie, I'm sure you'd be all for that. Like,
yes.
And you know, like, we can talk about that. We can talk about the first Mandalorian Jedi and the creation of the dark saber. Like, we can explore those stories after this is all said and done. And I totally agree. Leah, you never told us your favorite episodes from season 1.
I did. I said the prisoner.
Oh yeah, the prisoner. The prisoner. Sorry about that.
Excuse me. Just because you said it first doesn't mean it's not my favorite.
Right.
Yeah, I really like the prisoner. Fun.
Prisoner is great, especially like you were saying, the end of that episode with the horror movie.
I think that the prisoner was like, it's just fun to see more non-human species around, and that had the Twi'leks and the Deveronian.
Yes,
it's always fun.
Blake says real quick, side tangent that's Star Wars related, but I so wish we would have seen episodes 7, 8, and 9. Take on Jason and Jaina Solo. Yeah, I would have liked.
I mean, I like that they made a new story because partially because if they had adapted the Solo siblings story, one, it would be really hard to wrap up their whole story in 3 movies because like
that's
you're either going to have to cut out Anakin Solo entirely, or you're going to have to kill him off screen, or you're gonna have to be very choosy with what parts you would tell in 3 episodes.
That's at least.
But also, if like it would have been, I think almost riskier to do that because any like changes that they make would have absolutely been like throwing napalm into the fandom. It's
I agree. I agree. I still would have liked to have
I
seen an
generally
adaptation of
support
it.
the like wiping the slate clean and starting anew. And I like that they've been able to pick and choose. Like, I like that Kylo's story is, at least to me, who was a kid reading the post Return of the Jedi books. It felt reminiscent of Jason
A little bit.
Without being like a complete just rehashing.
Hmm.
And I liked that. Um, I like those books too. I like those books, and like I eventually I do plan on going back and reading more of the EU books or rereading EU
Hmm.
books. But I think that it was the right choice creatively to make new characters.
Yeah.
And make
Yeah.
a new kind of
I agree.
storyline for it.
I agree.
I still like those stories. I don't talk about them enough, but like my friends and I, when we talk about Star Wars, always end up talking about like Jaina Solo and stuff.
Jaina's a great character. She's an absolutely great character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen it, but I'm also the same way. Like, I'm happy that they went the route that they did, and we got the characters that we got. Um, I know we all have mixed feelings about movies in that trilogy, but I still think that they did what they did, and they handled it as best as they could.
Yeah.
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 So 5 years of The Mandalorian. How crazy.
So crazy.
Absolutely wild.
It's wild to me because it's like I was starting college when this started, and now I'm like, that just feels like, to know that it's actually been that long. Like, I'm graduating from college, so like I know it's been that long, but just to think like that's how long ago it was is like actually insane.
I had the realization the other day.
Yeah.
Like we were going through some inventory at work, and I saw that something was dated as being received in early 2017, and my first thought was, well, not that long ago. And then I recalculated. I was like, almost 8 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. It just feels like yesterday that we were getting ready for the Mando with that celebration panel, the Chicago celebration panel, and I mean, and here we are now, and in 2 years we get the Mando and Grogu movie, which we'll see how it goes. I know Zeb's in it.
Woo! Yeah. Yes.
I mean, I'm happy about that, but I mean, come on, we got to have Zeb and his husband.
Thank you.
Got to show his husband,
please. If Callus is not with Zeb in this movie, I will be crying in front of the Yoda fountain, like I said on the Rebels video.
I would accept a line from Zeb about Callus being at home with the kids.
See,
that would be amazing.
At least acknowledge his presence, please.
Well, I think it would be great, like if he said, "Yeah, Callus is at home with the kids," and like just brief thing of like Callus like with a baby on his hip, like trying to like shake a crying baby on his hip, like to get him to calm down, while like on a comm link with like his next door neighbor or somebody, like about something.
Could you just bring over like 1 liter, like 1/2 liter of milk, please?
Yeah, please. I'm trying to get little Zeb Jr. to calm down. And it's not working.
Junior.
Yeah. Zeb Jr.
Oh my god.
Like, how awesome would that be? Like, that would be so much fun. And it would be so stupid, but I would love it at the same time.
What's the joke that my friends have? That their kids should be named Mara Jade and Revan, just to muddy the water.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah. But yeah, I just want that little bit, but I have a feeling it's not going to happen. But a man can dream, right? A
a
man can
man
dream.
can dream.
Yeah. I will riot if Callus and Zeb break up, or if Callus
That's what
dies
I'm
off
saying. I will
screen.
go to Lucas.
I would rather he not be mentioned at all
Yeah.
than
Then
killing
them
him off
break up
screen.
exactly.
Like they just
Like
break up
I
before Zeb
understand
just
people
goes off.
having mixed opinions on his redemption arc.
Mhm.
Completely understood. I think everyone can agree he deserves better than getting killed off screen.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Exactly. God.
Absolutely. No,
Unless
Ezra's just
it's
gonna
like
force
the
push
next
him
time
through
he's
more glass.
mentioned is in a story that takes place 200 years in the future, a la Vildar Mac.
Well, one thing that I would love to see is like an Ezra and Callus reunion, where like Callus is like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" and like Ezra just force pushes him through glass again.
Oh my gosh.
You get Callus and Zeb's kids cheering.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, no, I
Because it's funny when
see,
your dad falls down,
yeah,
you know?
exactly.
yeah, no, like you said, like no breakup and no killing. Like
Yeah,
let's just
yeah.
if he
Let's leave them a happy family.
leave them happy and let's just be happy, please, Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, here's to 5 years of the Mandalorian. and and here's to many more of these stories. Um, that's it for us tonight. We just a couple of quick announcements. This time next month, we are not going to be live as we are at a different convention in which my wife is going to be selling
Ooh,
these
Mudhorn.
stickers.
I love that.
Mudhorn sticker, yes,
I love the Mudhorn symbol. Just
I do
total
too.
sidebar.
I do too. Yes.
Whoever did that design,
Oh yeah, the
I
Mudhorn
hope they got
design.
a bonus for that
Yes.
one.
Um, so yes, we will not be here the 14th. Yeah, so we won't be live on the 14th as we are out of
Yeah,
town.
I think what we've said is we're gonna have
I was just getting to it.
the first Saturday where we are gonna be able to talk about the first Saturday of December. We're gonna be able to talk about
Yes.
the start
Skeleton.
of Skeleton Crew, and
Skeleton
then we're
Crew.
gonna have. I'll let you take what we're talking about 2 weeks after that.
Okay. We're all cordially invited to the High Republic wedding. That's right. We are going to be talking about the High Republic wedding special on December 21st, and that will actually be our final show of the year. So we are going to be talking about the wedding
And what a show
special.
it will be!
It's going to be great. We may dress up. We may
I
be
will.
drinking some
I
wine.
will if I'm yeah.
I will if I'm able.
If I'm free, yeah.
We'll
Like,
see
I
if
will
the
be there
plans
dressed
work
up.
out. I hope I'll be able to make
I
it.
love that chat is like lesbian space wedding,
Yeah,
lesbian wedding.
as
Let's
they
go.
should. Oh my God.
Yes. Yes. So the wedding special is happening December 21st. So
Yeah.
get ready for that. That is going to be our final show of the year because we all need to take breaks for the holidays. So, there's that. But we will continue things. We'll kick things back off again in January with the finales for Skeleton Crew. And, we'll go from there. But those are your upcoming announcements. So stay tuned. Next week, I think we're going to talk about. I think we're going to continue with the Mandoverse since we're kicking off the road to Skeleton Crew. So we are going to continue with Mandoverse. We're either going to do season 2 or we're going to talk Book of Boba Fett.
Season 2.5.
Actually, well,
2.5.
then maybe we should do 2 and then 2.5. And that episode that we talk about the Book of Boba Fett is just all Vesper Rangers. That's it. That's all we're talking about. Yeah. So that's it for us. I hope that you all had a wonderful time. Oh, real quick, if you have not joined our Discord, please do so. I'm going to post the link right now. A few of us are going to be in chat after the show in Discord, so please join us there if you want to. It's a great community. Leah's part of it, Allie's part of it, of course I'm part of it. We get together, we talk about life, universe, everything, and Star Wars occasionally. And yeah, so that is it. I am still also trying to possibly plan a Discord holiday party at some point too, so we'll see how that goes. But other than that, that is it for us this week. May the force be with you. May you always fight for light and life. And remember, at the end of the day, we are all the Republic. We love you all. We're here for you all. And we will see you next time. Goodbye.